Before we begin, none of this is financial advice. Please do your own due diligence. Welcome back to another video. It's been a while since my last update. I've just been patiently waiting for the price action to reveal itself, and I gotta say it's very bullish. I'll try and make this video short as I don't have much time. Here on the daily frame, you can see that the higher lows are forming, right? Not only that, but you can see that the structure itself is revealing to be very impulsive. There's very little sideways movement and a little downward pressure. On Friday we had a close of down 3.7%, but let's see how much stronger or how much more downward pressure GameStop will take. But you can also see that on the daily frame, the candles are continuously above this Ichimoku cloud, which is always a good sign. But first, I want to take a look at the first move we had back in the last day of 2025, which is over here, December 31st, 2025. We can clearly see that it is a wave 1 of a smaller degree, followed by a wave 2, which looks to be a sideways consolidation. Next came the strong wave 3 over here, followed by a corrective wave 4 over here, and finally completing the wave 5 shortly after, which is this. Now you might be thinking, well, how do you know it's an impulsive wave? Well, let's drop down into the smaller time frame, let's say 2 hours. And let's do a crash course on Elliott wave theory. So back on December 31st, we had a wave 1. Here, let me just draw it out first. So we have this wave 1 into a 2, into a 3, into a 4, into a 5. So first, of course, we have wave 1, the starting of the wave, followed by a retracement into wave 2. Now, if I use the retracement level, or retracement targets, you can see that it retraced down to 70.7%. Now, if we use this trend-based Fibonacci extension, we can see the levels that are kind of expected for where wave 3 will be, starting from wave 1 retracing back to wave 2, and you can see this wave 3 over here extended exactly at the 2 Fibonacci extension level. Then of course wave 4, if we bring the retracement level from wave 2 into wave 3, you can see that wave 4 essentially ends right at this 50% retracement level. And remember the alternation rule between the two corrective waves, wave 2 and wave 4. One will always be a sideways correction, in which we have for this wave 2. It was kind of sideways consolidating as such, and then wave 4 we have a very sharp and drastic correction, just dropping down from wave 2 to wave 3 was a 50% retracement down, and that terminates wave 4. For the target of wave 5, if we were to take the extension again, we go from the bottom into wave 3 and then down to wave 4. You'll see that wave 5 actually terminates right at 0.618, which is the typical the typical target for wave 5. In other words, the entire move we have had in the past few days is textbook Elliott wave theory. Now, let me just delete these, and if we go back into the daily time frame, we know that this entire move is one wave. This entire thing here is one wave, because in each wave there is a subwave which we can derive. because it started at a local bottom, and we know that if this is an entire wave, it would be a wave 1. What comes next is of course a wave 2, which is the corrective wave. Now if we bring the Fibonacci retracement from bottom all the way to the top, we can see that this actually stops right at the 50% retracement level. So the question now becomes, is wave 2 completed at this 50% retracement level, or will wave 2 come back down to hit a lower retracement level, anywhere from 61.8 all the way to 88.6? And if we take the Fibonacci extensions from wave 1 into wave 2, which we have of course, assuming that it's done, we can see, or we can predict, the next levels. Again, this is a very strong assumption that wave 2 has been completed. There's always a chance that wave 2 is a sideways consolidation that might come back down to a lower retracement level. But right now, we're just postulating because, again, wave 2 terminating at 50% is actually insanely bullish. So if we are expecting an extended wave 3, the most likely target that will hit is this 1.618, which is $34.60. But of course, it can always go much higher, much higher than that. Like you saw the earlier when we were placing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can see that wave 3 actually terminated at the 2 extension level. And if we were to predict it hitting the 2 extension, we'll see that it will go to $38.18. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back. So I'll delete this and I'll delete this. And from here on, things will get very technical, so try and follow along if you can. I'm always open to hearing your thoughts, interpretations, and theories. So let's see what happened before this wave. You can see that I have on the chart this 2 wave, which I had from previous videos. And if we go back into the 2-hour time frame, we can actually see that if I were to do a retracement from this bottom over here, from here to the top, we can see that this actually hit the 88.6% retracement. So that means that this in itself is a wave 1 into a 2. So this itself could potentially be an entire wave 1, 2. So what is this talk that this is a wave 1 over here at the beginning of the video? Now, I could be wrong, but it looks to me that we are already in an extended wave 3, and the past few days was just a taste of what could be next, because next up will be a strong wave 3 of 3. In any extended wave, you would be able to count the subwaves as the wave itself is extended. What I mean is, in extended wave back on the daily, if this is extended, if wave 3 is extended, we can always count the wave of wave 1, 2, 3 as in 1, 2 1, 2 into a subwave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will end up being a wave 3. But why am I being so optimistic? Now let's go through each scenario. I have saved layouts for each scenario as well. So first we have scenario 1. Scenario 1 is if we are actually in a wave 4. So what if we were actually in a wave 4 and wave 4 is still going on? Because again, if we had a wave 2 would be a sharp correction, and wave 4 would be actually a sideways consolidation. So let's test this out. We have a wave 1 into a 2. A wave 3 would have only hit this 1.382 level, which is actually not very bullish. And that would actually mean that we are currently in a wave 4. But if this is the count that we have, then wave 4 would actually enter wave 1 territory. And we know that whenever that happens, it's not going to be an impulsive structure. It's more likely going to be a leading diagonal if we were, of course, moving higher highs and higher lows. We will be able to tell if we are actually in this scenario if we continue moving or trading sideways for a prolonged period, because again, we already saw that wave 2 was an ABC zigzag, which was actually a really strong and sharp retracement. And this could be potentially a leading diagonal, but wave 4 terminating at the 50% level is a bit too high. In fact, if we are in a leading diagonal, we would more likely be retracing much lower, back lower into maybe 78 or 88% retracement. But even then, we all know that a leading diagonal is a count of threes, as in we have an if we were to count the waves, it would always be ABC into ABC into ABC, and then A, B, C. But this, as we already counted, was not really a zigzag, or a 3-wave count. Now, let's go into scenario 2. Scenario 2 is if the wave count is incorrect and we are still in an extended wave 3. So what I mean is that if we are actually if this was actually a 1, 2 into a 3 into a 4 into a 5. I just realized I didn't really explain this scenario too well. What I mean is that if this is a wave 1 into a wave 2, and then we are currently in a wave 3, which will terminate at this 1.618 level. Now, if in the scenario, that would mean that, of course, this would be a wave 1 into a 2, and this entire move that we had over here is actually just one wave, that being wave 3. So we would have a 1, 2, 3, and then a long extended 4, and then a 5 subwave count, which will be the entirety of this wave 3, which will terminate at this 1.618 level. Now, I'm only suggesting this because we actually terminated as I mentioned before, we terminated this local top at 1.382, which is not really a bullish extended level, and in fact the most common one is actually 1.618, which again postulates what if we're actually in an extended, or we're still in the wave 3 and it's going to terminate right here at this 1.618 level. Now, the issue with this is actually, if this itself was a wave 3, we would obviously count it being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is actually quite difficult to determine where wave 1 and 2 is in this daily frame. And if we were to go back down into a wave 2, again, we would have it as this, somewhere along the lines being, of course, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But again, it's kind of difficult to argue only because wave 4 we know is a long sideways consolidation, which means that wave 2 must be a sharp correction. But within anywhere here, we don't see anything that's really visible being a sharp corrective wave. Now, aside from that, if we were to go back into the daily time frame and again count out this wave, this subwave 3, we have a 1, 2, 3 into a 4 into a 5, and we'll have this 4 being, of course, a long consolidation. The issue with this that I have is, of course, this wave 4 is going on way too long. if we had a wave 2 here only being for how many days, maybe just 13 days, wave 3, we will have this going on for almost like over a month now. It's 39 days. Now, assuming that if wave 4 terminated here at the 50% retracement level, that would be a 21-day retracement. I mean, 21-day retracement in terms of time. Time frame wise, yeah, I guess it's still possible. 21 days, 13 days, 21 days. But if we were to do the retracement from wave 2 to 3, of course, we can see that this actually terminates right here, which is exactly in the middle of 50% retracement and 61.8% retracement. So what does that mean? That actually means that this is very unlikely to be the termination point. If this is a wave 4, it would either continue consolidating until maybe it touches 50 again, or it goes lower into 61%, which would actually make this wave 4 extremely long. That would be longer than the entire wave and more from this beginning wave 1, which was 31 days, and then a corrective wave 3 to 4, or wave 4, would be 39 days plus and counting. Again, this scenario is possible, but it's just unlikely because of how the structure is revealing itself. If this is wave 4, this is just way too prolonged. Now, we will know if this scenario is true is if we can finish this wave 4 soon, as in very soon, and then do a 180 and just complete the wave 5 into this 1.618 level. Then of course, if that were the case, and this scenario is true, that being 1, 2, 3, wave 4 will not or should not be able to break into the territory of wave 1. So if that is the case, we wouldn't have this wave. We would have the wave 4 terminating just above wave 1, and it cannot go lower than that. So that is one way we'll know if the scenario is true. And again, patience. We just have to wait and see what happens with the stock. And lastly, we have scenario 3, which is the one that I think is what we have right now, or what I postulate to be happening right now, which is the impulsive extended wave 3, the one I am tracking. Now, unfortunately, at the moment, there's nothing that can invalidate this theory until much later, as in we just have to be patient and see if this comes to fruition. So again, let me just draw this out again. We would have this being wave 1, 2 of a larger degree, and then we'll have a 3, which is very extended, very, very extended, somewhere far beyond here. Because within this wave 3, we have, of course, a wave 1 into a 2 into a 3 into a 3, 4, 5. And this 3, or well, I should rather say this 5 will terminate at this 3, which is, of course, this, which is blue, is 1 degree higher than this yellow that I'm tracking right now. Because again, if this is the theory I have right now, is that we are in an extended wave 3, and within an extended wave 3 we'll have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 count, which will be actually visible in a larger time frame, which again would be the daily time frame. Now, the main reason as to why I believe this theory is accurate is that the price movement that we are seeing now in the past few days must reflect the larger price structure. What I mean is that this, if this is actually the bottom, the true bottom, this must hit the levels that we see of a larger degree. Because again, in a wave 1 in the impulsive waves 1, 3, 5, there's always going to be a sub-wave count, which you can count as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we were to go back, of course, let's say this one, we have 1 into a 2 into a 3, which will be likely terminating at this 1.618 level of $51. To reach this wave 3, we have to have somehow, you know, waves that will reach from $23 all the way up to $51, which is of course 118% move. Now we can't reach that by not having any kind of extended wave within the wave. That means that the impulsive structure must work its way to a larger Fibonacci extension, and I cannot see how that would be possible if we do not have any extended waves whatsoever. And of course, as you can see, we are so far away from the termination of this wave 1 of this large degree of $34.50 around. From 23.50 to the termination of wave 1 of a larger degree is already 46% increase that it has to reach just to even reach back to the beginning of wave 1. I should also mention one downside of an extended 3 where we have a 1, 2 into 3, 4, 5 that I'm tracking right now is the fact that if this truly is a 1 into a 2, we can easily go from a consolidation or corrective wave 2 all the way back down into 88.6%. And if it does that, it would still not break the structure. It could still be an extended wave 3. So the targets that I have drawn out have not changed. These Fibonacci extensions that I have not changed, and these Fibonacci waves that I have drawn out since before have not changed. And so it's true with this one as well, with this larger 1, 2, 3 up here, hopefully 4, 5. These still have not changed. I do have videos that I posted before about Gamestop where you can probably check that out and see where and how I got these levels. Again, as long as the structure, as long as the price structure remains the same, there will be no changes. Now, there's actually a lot to talk about, but all of it will be speculation. So I will let the price talk for itself. Anyways, that I kind of just threw out my ideas, just splatted it out, and hopefully we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.